Hi everybody, time for a quick little vlog. So the other day I've rented The Evil Within and I just started playing it. I'd like to show you a little something that's got me a little peeved. Look at this. See that? I have a quick little capture of it as well on my PC. Let's talk about the installation of games. Okay, that's probably secure enough. Okay, so now, having to install games is a mandatory thing. I understand was something that was going to be implemented with current gaming consoles, with Xbox One and PS4. I don't know if that is still a thing that happens or has to happen with all games. I can understand in some cases how if it's a digital game, but digital games are usually meant, to be smaller and such, i.e. Steam or just digital downloads from the PlayStation 3 store, Xbox 360 store, and so on. But this was a physical disc rental. And the second I started playing it, it had to install. It had to. I couldn't play it immediately. That's quite bothersome to me. And something I really don't care for. The last two physical games I bought that had to install, there was Metal Gear Solid 4, that took an hour to install, and then there was Skyrim, which again took another hour to install. Now those were both on the PlayStation 3 consoles. I don't remember if Skyrim did have to install when I got it on my 360. And I can understand the need for installation as I looked it up online, like what are some of the benefits of installing, in that installation will decrease load times for games, but according to the information I looked up, that is not always the case depending on the game. And it's also meant to reduce the noise that emits from your console. I never knew that was a problem. The only time I've ever had noise come from anything would be if maybe my DVD player was acting up, or or it was the disc, because something was just rattling around inside as it was running or playing. I know, but I've never had that problem with my console. And I forget what the other benefit was. That it will reduce scratch and wear on your disc. Well, if your video game system is scratching up your disc, then there's something wrong with your console, or just something wrong with the console in general, if that is an issue. I mean, I have old discs and old video games that are still in pretty good condition. I have a bunch of old cartridge games that are still in good condition, but again, that's vastly different. That's cartridge and that's disc. So, but, this is my main problem, though, because I didn't know that installation of games would also carry back into the old console generation. And this took probably about a half hour or so for this game to install. And the fact that you have to install, I would prefer sometimes that it be a choice whether or not you had to install the game or just not, just keep it on the disc. And since this is a game rental, why would I want to install it in the first place? And this is a game that I had a little bit of interest when I first heard about it, namely from the teaser trailers, and then seeing actual gameplay of it made me go, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll rent it, but I mean, my problem with this game, and I haven't played it yet, so I'm going to hold judgment until I play it. But my big problem with it is that it's Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 4. Now, yeah, it's made by the same guy, but he's just retreading old territory. Hell, there's a zombie reveal that's taken directly from Resident Evil 1, and from what I understand, a lot of the gameplay mechanics are from Resident Evil 4, and those are games that I did like and really enjoy. I really enjoyed Resident Evil 4. But I don't know. But anyway, back to game installation. I just don't like the idea of having to wait a half hour or an hour, depending on the game, before I can play it, and having to install it to my game system. Now, I understand that current generation consoles do have much, much larger hard drives. But here's another bigger issue. current games are getting larger in file size. Now, when it's just a digital download, you know, that's maybe at most, I mean, it's never going to go over a gigabyte, if you're lucky, you know, depending on the game. But a full PlayStation 3 game, or a full Xbox 360 game, I can't imagine how big Xbox One or PS4 games are. And I'm talking like full disc game, a $60 game, is usually double-digit gigabytes. That is a lot of memory. I mean, my PlayStation 3 hard drive is not that big, and it can get filled up by those kind of games if I install them really fast. Thankfully, I have a large hard drive for my 360, but I don't want to have to install every single game that I buy or play or rent, least of all rent, because what if I don't like the game? Then I'm going to have to go into my system and delete it. Yeah, that's not that big of a deal, but it just gives you one more thing to have to do. Oh, I had to wait an hour for this game to install that I rented. I played it for a few hours. I didn't really enjoy it. Took it back. Then I have to remind myself that, oh, I need to go into my memory and delete it. It's just kind of inconvenient, and I would really prefer to have the choice of, hey, do you want this to install, or would you not? You can still play it either way. I hate to have no choice, install the game, wait, and then play it. It's just irritating, and I think that that is just a stupid function. Not to mention horribly inconvenient, because I can tell you one thing about gamers. We don't like having to sit around and wait an hour before we can play our game, when we already have it. Again, oh well. That, I suppose, is the big, somewhat issue of today in gaming. Things are becoming bigger, things are becoming a tad more complicated, and just a little bit more annoying. I just wasn't aware this was going to carry over. Now, hopefully this isn't an everyday thing for every game, for every physical copy of a game that you rent or buy today. I wouldn't be too surprised if it is. At least the game installed successfully. At least there wasn't a problem. I've never heard of a thing happening, but I can imagine. Hell, I had somebody try to, kept on talking up League of Legends to me, and I'm just not into MMOs, nor do I really have the time or a lot of the interest to play an MMO. He tried 3 times to download League of Legends onto my computer, and every time it failed. It wouldn't work. So, I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm gonna see about trying to play this, and then I'll be going to work tonight. I apologize for my hair, but it's a partial day off before I go to work tonight. So, anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. See you next time.